Hey everyone, welcome back to Spoken English TV.
Hi, guys. Great to have you with us again.
Maya, have you ever walked out of a job interview and instantly replayed every single word you said?
Oh my goodness, constantly. It's like my brain hits rewind the second I leave the room.
Same here, honestly. Interviews make even confident people nervous.
Which is exactly why today's episode is going to be so useful.
Yes, today we're talking all about English conversation in a job interview.
Whether you're a fresher applying for your first job or someone switching careers, this episode is for you.
So, Maya, before we jump into the actual phrases and questions, let's talk about why interview English feels so different from everyday English.
That's a great question. I think it's because interviews combine formal language with personal storytelling.
Exactly. You're not just answering questions, you're presenting yourself, your skills, and your personality all at once.
And under pressure, that's genuinely hard, even for fluent speakers.
Right. Nerves can make anyone forget simple words they use every single day.
I once forgot the word responsible in an interview and just said, the person who does the things.
No way, really?
Yes, the interviewer smiled, but I wanted to disappear into my chair.
That's such a relatable moment, though. It happens to almost everyone at some point.
Exactly. And that's why preparation matters so much. Not memorizing answers, but knowing the right structure and vocabulary.
So here's the plan for today. We're going to walk through the entire interview process, step by step.
From the very first greeting all the way to the final thank you. We'll cover it all.
And to make it more real, why don't we actually act it out?
Oh, I like this idea. Should we do a mock interview?
Yes, let's do it. I'll be the interviewer and you can be the candidate.
All right, put me on the spot then.
Don't worry, we'll pause along the way to explain useful phrases and vocabulary.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Okay, imagine this. Maya has just walked into the interview room.
Okay, I'm ready. Deep breath.
Good morning. Please come in and have a seat.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So, tell me a little about yourself.
Sure. My name is Maya, and I recently completed my degree in business administration. Over the past 2 years, I've worked as a marketing assistant, where I handled social media campaigns and helped increase online engagement by almost 30%.
That's a great start, Maya. Thank you.
Okay, wait, let's pause here for a second.
Yes, let's break that down a bit.
So, that question, tell me about yourself, feels so simple, but it's honestly one of the trickiest ones.
Definitely, because it's so open-ended. People often don't know where to start.
Right. The key is to keep it short, relevant, and structured. Usually your background, your recent experience, and then a quick mention of your strengths.
Exactly. Think of it like a 30-second summary, not your entire life story.
Yes, nobody needs to know about your childhood pet or your favorite ice cream flavor.
Unless the job is literally about ice cream flavors.
True, context matters, I suppose.
All right, let's continue the mock interview.
Okay, go for it.
So, why are you interested in this position?
I've always admired how your company blends creativity with data-driven marketing strategies. I want to be part of a team where I can grow my skills while contributing fresh ideas.
That's a solid answer, Maya. It shows research and genuine interest.
That's actually an important tip, isn't it? Interviewers can tell when you've actually researched the company.
Absolutely. Even mentioning one specific detail about the company shows effort.
Like their recent project, their values, or even something you read in the news about them.
Exactly. It shows you're not just applying everywhere randomly, you actually want this specific job.
Guilty as charged. I've definitely applied everywhere randomly before.
Haven't we all at some point in our lives?
Absolutely, especially right after graduation.
Okay, let's move to the next classic question.
Oh no. Is it the strengths and weaknesses one?
You guessed it.
Everyone's least favorite question.
So, what would you say is your biggest strength?
I'd say my biggest strength is adaptability. In my last role, I often had to switch between different tasks quickly, and I learned to stay organized and calm under pressure.
Great. And what about a weakness?
Honestly, I used to struggle with public speaking, but I've been actively working on it by joining a local speaking club.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
Okay, can we talk about that weakness question for a second?
Please, because everyone panics at that question.
The trick is to be honest, but also show that you're actively improving.
Right. Nobody expects you to be perfect, but they do want to see self-awareness.
Exactly. Saying, I don't have any weaknesses actually sounds worse than admitting a real one.
Or the classic fake weakness, I work too hard or I care too much.
Ugh, interviewers have heard that one 1,000 times. Trust me.
It's basically become a joke at this point.
Better to pick something real and then explain what you're doing to improve it.
All right, let's continue. This next question trips up a lot of people.
Which one?
Can you describe a challenge you faced at work and how you handled it?
Yes, actually. Once, a client suddenly changed their requirements 2 days before a campaign launch. I quickly reorganized the team's priorities, communicated clearly with everyone involved, and we still managed to launch on time.
That's a strong example. Well structured, too.
This is where something called the STAR method really helps.
Oh, yes. Let's explain that for our viewers.
STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result.
So, first you describe the situation, then the specific task you had to complete.
Then you explain the action you personally took, and finally, the result or outcome.
It's such a clean way to structure any story-based answer.
Exactly, and it stops your answer from becoming a rambling mess.
Which happens to the best of us, especially when we're nervous.
Guilty. Again.
All right, let's keep going with the mock interview.
Let's do it.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself growing within a company like this, taking on more responsibility, and eventually leading a small team of my own.
That's a great answer. It shows ambition without sounding unrealistic.
This question is actually about checking if your goals align with the company's direction.
Right. They're not expecting a perfectly detailed 5-year plan.
Exactly. They just want to know you're thinking long term and that you're not planning to leave after 3 months.
Which, let's be honest, some people definitely are.
We won't judge, but maybe don't say that in the interview.
Definitely keep that thought to yourself. Okay, now let's talk about a slightly awkward topic. Salary expectations.
Oh, this one always makes me uncomfortable.
What are your salary expectations for this role?
Based on my research and experience level, I'm expecting a range between, let's say, 40 and 45,000. Though I'm open to discussing this further based on the full compensation package.
Good. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, this question genuinely stresses people out.
It really does. Ask for too much and you might seem unrealistic.
Ask for too little and you might undervalue yourself.
That's why giving a range based on research usually works best.
And mentioning you're open to discussion shows flexibility too.
Exactly. It keeps the conversation open rather than shutting it down with one fixed number.
All right, let's move toward the end of the interview now.
Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, actually. Could you tell me more about what a typical day looks like for someone in this role?
Great question. That shows genuine curiosity about the day-to-day work.
This part is honestly so important, and so many people skip it.
Definitely. Saying no, I don't have any questions can actually leave a weak impression.
Right. It can make it seem like you're not that interested, even if that's not true at all.
Good questions to ask include things about team structure, company culture, or growth opportunities.
Or even something like, what does success look like in this role after 6 months?
That's such a smart question, honestly.
It shows you're already thinking about performing well in the role.
All right, and finally, let's talk about how to end the interview gracefully.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you, Maya. We'll be in touch soon regarding next steps.
Wonderful. Thank you again. I look forward to hearing from you.
And that's a wrap on our little role play.
That was actually really fun, though also a little nerve-wracking pretending to be interviewed.
You did great, though. Very natural answers.
Thank you. Okay, so now let's talk about some general tips beyond just the questions themselves.
Yes, let's talk about tone and body language, because English conversation isn't only about words.
Exactly. How you say something matters just as much as what you say.
Speaking clearly and at a moderate pace makes a huge difference.
Right. Nervous people often speak too fast, which can make them harder to understand.
I've definitely rushed through an answer before, just to get it over with.
Same. And afterward, I couldn't even remember what I said.
Taking a short pause before answering actually makes you sound more confident, not less.
Really? I always thought pausing made me look unsure.
Actually, it shows you're thinking carefully rather than blurting out the first thing that comes to mind.
That's a good reminder. A short pause is completely normal and even expected.
Let's also talk about common vocabulary mistakes people make in interviews.
Oh, yes, please. This will help a lot of viewers.
One common mistake is overusing very basic words like good or nice for everything.
Guilty. I say it was a good experience way too often.
Instead, you could say rewarding, challenging, or valuable experience.
Those words sound so much more specific and professional.
Another common mistake is using overly casual language, like yeah instead of yes.
Right. Or saying gonna instead of going to.
Small changes, but they really shape how professional you sound.
What about filler words? I know we've talked about those before on the channel.
Oh, filler words are a big one in interviews specifically. Words like like, or you know can make you sound less confident.
It's completely natural to use them sometimes, but too many can distract from your actual answer.
A helpful trick is pausing silently instead of filling the gap with or.
Silence feels awkward in the moment, but honestly, it sounds much better than constant filler words.
Let's also talk about grammar mistakes people commonly make when talking about their experience.
Oh, tense mistakes are common, right? Mixing up past and present tense while telling a story?
Exactly. If you're describing a past job, stick to past tense throughout. I managed, I worked, I completed.
And if you're talking about your current job, present tense makes more sense. I currently manage. I'm responsible for.
Mixing them up mid-sentence can genuinely confuse the interviewer about your timeline.
I've definitely done that before, jumping between past and present without realizing it.
It happens, especially when you're nervous and thinking on your feet.
All right, let's shift to something equally important: listening skills during the interview.
Oh, that's such an underrated point. People focus so much on speaking, they forget listening matters too.
Exactly. If you don't fully understand a question, it's completely okay to ask for clarification.
Right. Saying something like, "Could you clarify what you mean by that?" is perfectly professional.
It's so much better than guessing and giving a completely unrelated answer.
I once misheard a question and gave a totally random answer. It was honestly embarrassing.
Oh no, what happened?
They asked about my experience with teamwork, and somehow I started talking about my hobbies.
Oh, that's such a classic nervous interview moment.
The interviewer was kind about it, but I definitely learned my lesson.
That's a great reminder that it's okay to slow down and really listen before jumping into an answer.
Let's jump back into our mock interview for a moment. There are a few more classic questions worth practicing.
Oh, no. Bring it on, I suppose.
Why should we hire you over other candidates?
Because I bring a mix of hands on experience and a genuine enthusiasm for this industry. I'm also someone who learns quickly and works well under pressure, which I think matters a lot in a fast paced team like yours.
Strong answer. Confident without sounding arrogant.
That balance is honestly so tricky to get right.
It really is. Too humble and you seem unsure of yourself.
Too confident, and you might come across as boastful.
The trick is backing up your confidence with specific examples, not just general claims.
Right. Instead of just saying, I'm a hard worker, give an actual example that proves it.
Show, don't just tell, basically.
Exactly. That phrase applies to interviews just as much as it does to storytelling.
Okay, next question. And honestly, this one's a tough one for a lot of people.
Uh-oh, which one is it?
Can you tell me about a time you failed or made a mistake at work?
Yes, actually. Early in my career, I once sent a client the wrong report by mistake. I immediately owned up to it, corrected it within the hour, and double-checked my process afterward to make sure it wouldn't happen again.
That's a great answer. It shows accountability.
This question honestly terrifies people because nobody wants to admit failure in an interview.
True, but interviewers aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for how you respond to setbacks.
Exactly. Owning your mistake and explaining what you learned matters far more than pretending you never make mistakes.
Nobody believes the person who claims they've never made a single mistake at work anyway.
Right. That answer usually raises more red flags than it solves.
All right, one more mock question before we move on. This one's about conflict.
Okay, go ahead.
How do you handle disagreements with a colleague?
I try to stay calm and listen to their perspective first. In one situation, a coworker and I disagreed on how to approach a project, so we scheduled a short meeting, discussed both ideas openly, and ended up combining the best parts of each.
That's a fantastic example. It shows maturity and teamwork.
Conflict questions are really testing your emotional intelligence, aren't they?
Definitely. Interviewers want to know you can handle disagreements professionally, without drama or avoidance.
Avoiding conflict completely isn't actually a good answer either, since disagreements are a normal part of any workplace.
Right. The goal is showing that you can navigate it calmly and constructively.
Basically, don't say you just quietly fume about it at your desk.
Though, let's be honest, we've all done a bit of quiet fuming at some point.
Just maybe don't mention that part in the interview.
All right, Let's shift topics slightly and talk about different types of interviews, since not every interview looks the same.
Oh, that's true. There's the standard one-on-one interview, which is what we just practiced.
Right, but there's also panel interviews, where you're being interviewed by several people at once.
Oh, panel interviews genuinely make me nervous just thinking about them.
They can feel intimidating, but the same principles apply. Just remember to make eye contact with whoever asked the question, while occasionally glancing at the others too.
That's a helpful tip, actually, so you're not just focused on one person the whole time.
There are also group interviews, where multiple candidates are interviewed together, sometimes even asked to complete a task as a team.
Oh, those sound stressful. You're basically being compared to other candidates directly.
They can be, but they're also a great chance to show leadership and teamwork skills in real time.
Right. Showing that you can listen to others and contribute, rather than dominating the conversation, usually leaves a good impression.
And then, of course, there are case interviews or technical interviews, common in fields like consulting or engineering.
Those focus more on problem-solving skills rather than just talking about your past experience.
Exactly. So the vocabulary and structure shift a bit, more explaining your thought process step by step.
That's genuinely useful to know, since preparing for a panel interview is quite different from preparing for a technical one.
Let's also quickly touch on appearance and first impressions, since that plays a role too.
Definitely. Dressing appropriately for the company culture matters a lot.
Right. A formal suit might be expected for a banking job, while a smart casual outfit might be more appropriate for a creative agency.
I once overdressed for an interview at a startup. Everyone else was in jeans, and I showed up in a full formal blazer.
Oh no, how did that feel?
A little awkward, honestly. But they appreciated the effort, at least.
That's actually good general advice. When in doubt, it's usually better to be slightly overdressed than underdressed.
And beyond clothing, things like a firm handshake, good posture, and a genuine smile all contribute to that first impression, too.
Right. First impressions form incredibly quickly, sometimes within the first few seconds of meeting someone.
Which is exactly why arriving a little early, staying calm, and greeting people warmly really does set the tone for the whole interview.
Let's also mention a few useful English idioms and expressions that often come up in interview settings.
Oh, I love this part. Idioms make your English sound so much more natural.
One common one is hit the ground running, meaning to start a new job and immediately perform well without needing much training.
That's such a useful phrase to use when talking about how quickly you can adapt to a new role.
Another one is team player, meaning someone who works well and cooperates with others.
That phrase shows up in almost every job description, honestly.
It really does. Along with wear many hats, meaning someone who handles multiple responsibilities or roles.
I like that one. It's such a visual way to describe flexibility at work.
And finally, go the extra mile, meaning to put in more effort than what's expected.
These phrases genuinely make your answers sound more natural and less like you're reading from a textbook.
Exactly. Using even one or two of these naturally during an interview can really impress the listener.
Just don't force too many idioms into one answer, though. It can start to sound unnatural if overdone.
True. Nobody wants to sound like an idiom dictionary during a job interview. Let's also talk about phone or video interviews, since those have become so common now.
Oh, yes, video interviews have their own unique challenges.
Definitely. Things like eye contact become trickier because you have to look at the camera, not the screen.
That's such a good tip, actually. Looking at the camera instead of the person's face on the screen.
It feels a bit unnatural at first, but it creates the impression of eye contact for the other person.
I always forget and end up staring at myself on screen instead.
We've all done that, checking our own hair instead of listening.
Also, background noise and lighting matter more than people realize.
Definitely. A quiet, well-lit space makes such a professional impression.
And testing your internet connection beforehand can save you from awkward technical issues.
Nothing worse than freezing mid-sentence during an important answer.
Or your microphone cutting out right when you're saying something important.
The universe seems to enjoy that kind of timing.
All right, let's also talk about phone interviews specifically, since there's no video at all.
Right. Without visual cues, your tone of voice becomes even more important.
Smiling while you speak, even on the phone, actually changes how your voice sounds.
Really? Does that actually work?
Yes. Apparently, smiling affects your tone, making you sound warmer and more friendly.
That's such a simple trick, but I never really thought about it.
Also, having your resume in front of you during a phone interview can help you stay organized.
That's smart, since the interviewer can't see what you're doing anyway.
Just don't shuffle papers too loudly near the microphone.
Good point. That would be pretty distracting.
Before we move to wrapping up, let's talk briefly about managing nerves, since that affects how naturally your English comes out too.
This is such an important point. Nervousness can make even fluent speakers stumble over simple words.
Definitely. One trick that genuinely helps me is taking a few slow, deep breaths right before walking into the room.
Does that actually calm you down, or is it more of a placebo effect?
Honestly, a bit of both, but it does slow my heart rate enough to think clearly.
I've also heard that practicing your answers out loud beforehand, not just in your head, makes a huge difference.
That's so true. Thinking through an answer feels completely different from actually saying it out loud.
Right. Your brain and your mouth don't always cooperate the way you expect them to.
Which is exactly why rehearsing with a friend or even in front of a mirror genuinely helps.
It also helps to remind yourself that a bit of nervousness is completely normal, even expected.
Exactly. Interviewers understand that candidates are nervous. It doesn't automatically count against you.
In fact, a little nervous energy can even come across as genuine enthusiasm for the role.
That's a comforting way to look at it, honestly.
One last mock question before we wrap up the roleplay section completely.
All right, one more, and then I'm done pretending to be interviewed.
What kind of work environment do you thrive in?
I do well in collaborative environments where communication is open and feedback is encouraged. At the same time, I also value having the independence to manage my own tasks and deadlines.
That's a well-balanced answer. It shows flexibility.
This question is really about checking if you'd fit well within their existing team culture.
Right. There's no single correct answer here. It depends entirely on being honest about what genuinely helps you perform well.
Exactly. And a little research into the company's culture beforehand can help you frame your answer more naturally. All right, let's talk about following up after the interview.
Oh yes, the thank you email. Such a small thing, but it makes a real difference.
Right. Sending a short thank you email within a day shows professionalism and genuine interest.
It doesn't need to be long either, just a few sentences thanking them for their time.
Something like, "Thank you for the opportunity to interview for this position. I really enjoyed learning more about the team."
That's perfect. Simple, polite, and professional.
It also gives you one more small chance to reinforce your interest in the role.
Exactly, and it keeps you fresh in the interviewer's mind, especially if they're interviewing many candidates.
All right, let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered today.
Sounds good. Let's summarize the key points.
First, prepare a short, structured answer for "Tell me about yourself."
Second, be honest but thoughtful when discussing strengths and weaknesses.
Third, use the STAR method for storytelling questions about challenges or achievements.
Fourth, research the company beforehand and always prepare a few thoughtful questions to ask.
Fifth, watch your tone, pace, and body language or camera presence for video interviews.
And finally, always follow up with a polite thank you message afterward.
That's such a helpful summary, honestly.
I think this episode is going to help so many of our viewers feel more confident.
Absolutely. Interviews will always feel a little nerve-wracking. That's completely normal.
Right, but preparation really does change how confident you sound and feel.
Exactly. And confidence often matters just as much as the actual content of your answers.
One final thought before the vocabulary section. Don't forget to research the average interview length for the role you're applying for, so you can pace your answers accordingly.
That's a smart addition. Some interviews last 15 minutes. Others stretch on for over an hour with multiple rounds.
Right. Knowing roughly how much time you have helps you decide how detailed your answer should be.
Better than realizing halfway through that you've only covered 2 questions in 40 minutes.
Which has definitely happened to me before, rambling my way through one answer for way too long. Before we wrap up, let's quickly go over 5 useful vocabulary words from today's episode.
Yes, let's do that. Our viewers love this part.
First word, adaptability, meaning the ability to adjust easily to new situations or changes.
Second, rewarding, meaning something that gives satisfaction or a feeling of achievement.
Third, clarify, meaning to make something clearer or easier to understand.
Fourth, compensation, meaning the salary and benefits offered for a job.
And fifth, professionalism, meaning behaving in a way that's appropriate and skilled in a work setting.
Great words to practice using in your own sentences this week.
Try using at least one of these words in a comment below. We'd love to see them.
Also, if you have an interview coming up, tell us in the comments. We're rooting for you.
Yes, we genuinely want to know how it goes, so keep us updated.
All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of today's episode.
Thank you all so much for watching this episode with us today.
If you found this useful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Spoken English TV.
Share it with a friend who has an interview coming up. It might genuinely help them.
Until next time, this is Maya.
And this is Ryan, signing off from Spoken English TV.
Keep practicing your English and good luck with your next interview.
Bye, everyone. Take care and see you soon.